Hi everyone, welcome to today's live stream of course, what are we calling this? Constantine Quarantine News. The date today is Thursday the 19th of March 2020, and I wanted to give you a little bit of an update of some of the things I've seen over the last couple of hours or 24 hours regarding the interesting situation we're in with COVID-19. So, first things first, let's talk about some of the things that are annoying people. One of the first things that's annoying people, brands, stop emailing us all your stupid internal processes. There's a thing in PR called the paradox of transparency. And what it generally means is if there's something wrong, tell us about it so that we don't fear the worst. Oh, by the way, this box here is a chat box just there. So feel free to chat and I'll read out some of your chats there. Craig Ondaatje MP. Hello, Craig. Thanks for the thumbs up. There's a thing in PR called the paradox of transparency. If there's something wrong in your brand, you tell us about it so that we don't assume the worst. However, for most brands, we're aware that things are wrong, but we don't need to know that your CEO is at home frantically washing her hands. We really don't care. Email us only if three things happen. Only if it affects us as customers, it affects us customers potentially in the future, or it might have recently affected us and now, you're apologizing. Otherwise, stop. We will name and shame. And guess what? We're going to name and shame starting right now. So the first people are our friends, not so much friends. Here we go, Sitecore. Sitecore sent us an email saying, Dear Constantine, as our world and our communities deal with blah, 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 and they go through their restrictions on all business travel that they've had internally, restrictions on their internal company events, their remote work protocols, and they've enhanced their office hygiene product. Now, Sitecore is basically a CMS product. It is a bit of software. They don't deliver anything. They don't have anything to do with anything. This does not affect me in any way, and yet I've had to sit here and read this stupid email from Mark Frost, their CEO. So my response was, hey Mark, stop spamming me with this self-centered shit. Thank you, Sitecore, for nothing. However, Mecca, wonderful. From us to you. What a week it's been. Upbeat tone. We will make shopping on mecca.com.au easy. Free standard shipping on all online orders. We are ready, willing, and waiting to help. Live chat is up and running on their website. Fantastic. And they've got a call center. By the way, they know everything there is to know, considering they've all worked in store. Great. We'll provide you with extra service in-store whilst mindful of current circumstances, a new no-touch service. And we'll continue to prioritise the health and safety of customers and teams. And by the way, we know it's difficult for you to get to stores, so we're working on and developing new ways to bring Mecca into your homes and hands. Well done, Mecca. Really, really, really well done. This is the type of thing that we want from all sorts of businesses. Right. So that's that then. Let's go over to something else I wanted to talk about, which is apparently the internet is struggling under, here we go. Apparently the internet is struggling under the strain of the people working from home. And ironically enough, the internet is struggling to actually show this particular page. Take my word for it. The NBN is so bad that the internet is struggling, and it seems as though news.com.au is equally on the NBN. Something else that's really good, and I implore you see it, is this wonderful video that's going around, facts about COVID-19, that is from a friend of mine who is the head of infectious diseases at Austin Health. Pat, well done on this great video, facts about COVID-19. I'll put the link in later on, but it's a really great video. It goes for 21 minutes and he covers all sorts of topics, namely symptoms of, there we go. Where's the, here we go. Here's his table of contents. What is it? How's it spread? How contagious? What are the symptoms? How severe? And what can we do? So well done, Pat. I will share that video with everyone in the links later on, or message me. Now let's go through some of the papers, shall we? The Financial Review is showing that the RBA has cut rates to a historic low, the first time ever that they have cut rates outside of a normal monthly RBA cycle, which is really interesting and clearly very concerning. RBA have cut rates to 0.25%, and there was also $90 billion in funding for SMEs. Now, this is interesting. Basically, what this is saying is that the bank is saying that they would buy government bonds of varying years to ensure the yield on 3-year bonds, regarded as a base cost for borrowing for corporates and government, stayed low at around 0.25%. In other words, the RBA is going out there to ensure that there is enough money out there in the economy, and they're going to print more money so that there is a special funding facility for commercial banks, so that commercial banks can lend to small businesses, which is similar to an initiative announced by the by the Royal Bank of England last week. Now, one of the things that's interesting and maybe concerning about this is, although this sounds like a fantastic initiative, the question is, who will be able to borrow of small businesses? Are they small businesses that are already able to borrow? And as we know, small business lending has plateaued in Australia over the last close to 20 years. And secondly, or are they new businesses? Given that, are their businesses likely to want to borrow to cover costs, which is unlikely that a bank would lend to them in this circumstance or in any circumstance, versus businesses that have some sort of net tangible asset backing or ability to actually, or willingness to grow? That's particularly concerning. And as a small business ourselves, and as people who work with small businesses, given we have over 250 partners here at Penso that we work with on a day-to-day basis, we want to see our partners survive through this. We want to see a lot more details from that. The Australian is obviously running the new news that's happened just recently, that non-citizens are banned from entering Australia. So not self-isolated, not quarantined, but dead set banned. By the way, if anyone would like to see any other news covered or any opinion, feel free to text through. For those of you that don't have my number, you can message or chat. But yeah, real issues there with non-citizens being banned from entering Australia. We've also seen today that Tasmania has closed its borders, with potentially WA and the Northern Territory equally looking to close their borders. And New Zealand has also closed their borders to non-citizens. Again, we're starting to see some more extreme measures in place to flatten the curve. There is something happening at news.com.au because we have pipe internet, and what I'm trying to do is show you some news.com.au sites, and they are not working. So clearly there is an issue with hosting there at News. Anyone who works for News, talk to your head of IT because something's clearly not happening there. Let's go over to Fairfax, shall we? And Fairfax are running with the, I guess, relatively predictable and very sad update that restaurants, pubs and venues face a devastating 6 months of trade. It's particularly scary, but what we're starting to see is some creativity around the way in which some of these venues are trying to service their clients. One of the cool things that we've seen in an email I've just received now was from Estelle, and the email more or less read, by the way, if you'd like to have dinner at home, duck legs, Great Ocean Road, confit duck legs, lentils, grains, figs and beetroot, which sounds absolutely delicious, $40, and that serves 2 people. So if you want to have dinner from one of the best restaurants in Melbourne, they're already starting to get creative. And we've also seen places like Destasio Città also offer pickups and takeaways, and things like picnics in the park across the road from the restaurant. So well done to some of these businesses for being creative. If anyone needs any help on their digital channels, goes to market, ways in which they can actually use digital to sell more, feel free to give us a call. That's what we do, and we're more than happy to help anyone in this time of crisis. What we've seen from the Wall Street Journal is the headline, "Stocks and Currencies Slide as Cash Shortage Worsens." And again, one of the key issues in any crisis is liquidity. In this context, we've actually got a kind of a perverse issue where people have got cash. The problem is, what is there to spend it on? And do they actually want to spend it, given that they are potentially looking at 6 months of plus or unseeable future of real issues. So what we've actually seen is the velocity of money dropping. So it's not so much that people don't have money, it's that they're not spending it. And that goes back to, again, Milton Friedman's velocity theory of money. And you can Google that if you want to know anything more about that. The Economist is running with the headline about how COVID-19 is interrupting children's education. Almost 1 billion children have seen their schools closed. Again, online education is something we see is booming in this period, and the idea of physical availability of education and the idea of expanding online education and continuous education is something that we can see being particularly vital, because the last thing we need is for our children to regress during this period. Our friends at LSN Global, of course, the Future Laboratory, are running at this idea of COVID-19 sparking recession fears among millennials, and what we're also seeing is the idea of subscription services at home, and edible entertainment, as they're calling it, which is a really interesting idea, that people are bringing together entertainment and food to actually curate experiences for people at home who are under some sort of quarantine or isolation. Some other things that are specifically outside the news. Facebook is running a small business grants program, and they're offering $100 million in cash grants and ad credits for up to 30,000 eligible small businesses in over 30 countries. As they're saying, we'll share more details as they come available. This is really crucial, and thank you and well done to Facebook for running this particular initiative. What we're also seeing, here we go. Oh, we've got it. Have we got it? Yes. Telstra boss recommends rationing internet use as network strains under increased load. That comes from B&T. The NBN is an absolute rubbish thing, but I guess it's also analogous to solar panels. Energy contribution from the grids from solar has to be throttled back in most instances because the local networks can't cope. And as we're seeing this decentralisation of work, we're seeing the same thing happen with the NBN. The NBN and the government decided to be arrogant. They decided to be a monopoly provider. They decided to set up one set of pipes, and now everyone's on the same thing, trying to work from home, and the whole thing's not working. What a folly. The other thing that's interesting that we've seen here is that the AFR have published an opinion piece by Yanis Varoufakis. Europe is unprepared for the coming recession. Companies and households are facing insolvency, not illiquidity. To arrest the crisis, governments go all in with a stupendous fiscal expansion. It's actually relatively predictable from Varoufakis. But this is a man of criminal ineptitude. I must admit, there is part of me that admires the kind of bold, bolshy, snake oil salesman vibe about Varoufakis. Someone with no discernible talent, someone who has what we might call an empathy bypass. He doesn't really have the ability to look someone in the eye and be honest with them. But I'm kind of disgusted by those sort of people, but I'm equally kind of impressed. Like, I wish I had that confidence to be able to sell something as bad as what he's selling. But it's not him that I blame necessarily. It's the people that voted him in. It's the people that gave him jobs. And in this instance, it's the editors of the Financial Review that thought that publishing anything by Yanis Varoufakis would be of any wisdom or common sense. Shame to you, the Australian Financial Review, for running this stupid editorial by Yanis Varoufakis. If you want something to read, don't read Yanis Varoufakis. Read this fantastic book called The Last Bluff by two journalists, Greek journalists, Victoria Dendrinou and Eleni Varvitsiotti. An absolutely brilliant book that I read just recently in the last couple of months. It reads like a political thriller, and in it you see the absolute criminal ineptitude and stupidity and arrogance of Yanis Varoufakis and Alexis Tsipras. Now, something particularly grim that happened today was Meyer Holdings dropped 44%. Meyer is now a $78 million company. And there are all sorts of rumours circulating around Meyer in the business community. I won't spread any of those except to say that Meyer is now at 9.5 cents a share at $78 million and looks perilously bad. If you look at that drop today, Meyer has dropped 44%, and in the last 6 months you can see Meyer has actually dropped in value close to 85%. So particularly grim there, as you can see. Finally, some more information is that the Victoria emergency.vic.gov.au have actually incorporated some advice on communicable disease on their website. So those of you that were familiar with that website, given the recent fires in Australia and in Victoria, they've now updated that to reflect the COVID-19 crisis. I think that basically wraps it up for the moment. What I would strongly recommend is having a look at this excellent video by Pat, and otherwise, let me know if there's anything you'd like me to cover, talk about, or not talk about. I was hoping to do some more upbeat stuff. There is some good news out and about, but otherwise, guys, wash your hands, stay at home, take care of yourselves, and if you're in business, actually, sorry, there is one more thing. Actually, no, I'll talk about it tomorrow. Some tips for small businesses on how to cut costs and how to stay solvent through this horrendous time. So to everyone, good luck. Be safe, wash your hands, and stay out of trouble. Cheers, everyone. Thanks.